So today I've just got in from the shops and I want to talk to you about food labels today and how to interpret them. So hi, my name's Anita and I'm a functional nutritional student in my last year and a former cardiac ICU nurse. So today I want to break down how to actually read the UK food labels, what the numbers mean, how to spot those sneaky ingredients and how this links to your heart and your metabolic health. So when you pick up a product, flip it on its back or its side like this, and you'll find the ingredients list and the nutritional information table. Now in the UK, usually they measure it in 100 grams. You can see here and you can see there. Most of the time it's in 100 grams. So you need to be careful of portion sizes when you're looking at these nutritional values. For example, on the tomato ketchup, it's got 100 grams and it's also got a 15 gram serving. So let's start with the calories first. So that's the energy content that's in the product that you have in front of you. So all of them have the calories in, and a lot of you may be checking your calories regularly or maybe you're not, but all of them, including whole foods, will have the calories in. Another thing that they'll have is the fat content. So looking at the fat content of products, they'll have the whole fats and then the saturated fats on them, and that's important for your heart health. Some products will have higher carbohydrates and they will also show you the sugars. So that's important if you are looking at your blood sugar levels. You need to check the carbohydrates and the amount of sugars. So for example, this packet of chips per 100 grams has 25.8 grams of carbohydrates, but actually doesn't have any sugars of any significance. So that's a really good option. The next thing down is the fibre. So this is what's really important. So if you've got carbohydrates in your product and you haven't got a lot of sugar, but you've got lots of fibre, that shows that there is more whole foods in there. So fibre is super important and it's often missed, and it's really important for gut and cholesterol health. So if I looked at the ingredients of the tomato ketchup, considering it's got tomatoes in, it doesn't even have fibre written on the label. Protein's also really important, crucial for muscle, satiety and your metabolic rate. And you can find protein usually about halfway down the label. The last one is salt and sodium, and that's linked to blood pressure. So have a little look and make sure that your nutritional value is not too high in salt. Now we're going to go into that in a second. Another system in the UK is this traffic light systems. You can see here we have the red, green and amber. Even on the pistachio kernels we have the red, green and amber on there as well. So many UK foods have this. Usually it's the ones that have been processed into packets, but sometimes the fresh ones do have it as well. So red usually means high, amber is medium and green is low. So for example, a typical 100 grams, if the fat is high over 17.5, it's going to be red. If saturated fats are over 5 grams, that's also going to be red. If sugar's high over 22 grams, that's going to be red. And if salt is over 1.5 grams, that's going to be red. Now that's a visual cue on some of the packaged products. You don't need to panic if you sometimes see red on some of the ingredients, especially like nuts and seeds, because the red is the amount of fats. It doesn't distinguish between the healthy fats and the not so healthy fats. So context really matters when it comes to the traffic light system. Okay, so the third part of this is the ingredients list. So when you have something that's made mainly of whole foods, you'll get an ingredients list that will just say 1 or 2 ingredients. So this one's yogurt and then bacteria that's been added in. In the ingredients list of these French fries, they have potato, 91%. They have sunflower oil, corn flour, potato starch, rice flour, and so on and so on. So you can see the more processed and packaged, the more ingredients they have in there. So things to look at is that the first 3 ingredients, these need to be made up mostly of the product. So of course, avocados will just have avocados as their ingredients. For example, this Scottish eggs here, their ingredients has got cooked egg, then it has wheat flour, then it has iron, then it has water, then it has pork fat, onions, potato starch, and so on and so on. So the more ingredients there is, the more processed and made up the food is. So if they have sugar, refined oils or additives showing up early in the ingredients list, that's your red flag. That's where you might get some sneaky sugars into there. Some of the sneaky sugars are glucose syrup, fructose, maltodextrin, even honey and agave. If they snuck them in there, then there's going to be sugars in there. Another thing to really think about is to check the fibre content. So you remember on these French fries, I said that they'd got 25.8 grams of carbs, hardly any sugars, but they've got a whopping 3.5 grams of fibre. So you can see how the fibre is really important. Even on the avocados, the nutritional value here is that they have 3.4 grams of fibre, no sugars, and then 1.9 grams of carbs. So it's all whole. So just remember to check the carbs. No sugars in the carbs, more fibre. If they've got lots of sugars in the carbs, it tends to mean that they've got some hidden ingredients that you need to watch out for. So what does this all mean to you if you are watching your cholesterol, maybe your insulin resistance, and even your blood pressure? So look for products that have a low saturated fat. These French fries, the fat level per serving is 8.7, but they've actually only got 0.6 grams of saturated fats. Look for high fibre, at least 3 grams of fibre per 100 grams. So like in the avocados, they've got 3.4 grams of fibre. Look for protein. 10 to 20 grams of protein per meal can support your weight management and your blood sugar stability. So yogurt's obviously got a lot of protein in as well. So food labels, whether it's the traffic light system, it's the nutritional values, or it's the ingredients, don't need to be scary. You just need to know what to look for when you are reading these labels and what to break down when there are red flags there. You know, if it's a red flag, what does that actually mean? And is that a good red flag or a bad red flag? If you have any questions about the foods you eat and reading the nutritional labels, drop them in the comments and I'll try and demystify them for you. And don't forget to follow along for some more Nutrition Uncovered videos.